Hello, my name is Stephanie. I'm a kinesiologist and an acro-yoga enthusiast. And in this time of separation and not being able to get together with the tribe, I wanted to create a bit of an exercise routine to keep us strong as bases and flyers and keep us moving. So let's get started. Where all you need is some open space and a mat, and I'll give you some modifications if something doesn't feel good, and feel free to go at your own speed, your own comfort level, and let's get started. So we'll start with warming up the hips and the back. Hips pointing forward, opening up at the hips, having loose and open hips, very important in acro. We're going to go one way and then the other way too. So this routine that I've created has some flexibility, some active mobility, and strength training for both flyers and bases alike. And then finishing up with a little cool down. So here we go. Also going out to the side, foot back and around, making sure that you're not arching at the spine to get there. So hip comes up, side, foot goes back to get that internal rotation around, getting into the glutes and hamstrings as you come back around. Let's do it one more time. And forward. We're also working that standing leg. Let's bring it forward, out to the side and back. You're going to hear me breathing hard with these. Not letting your spine arch at the back. Coming forward into flexion, abduction, extension. And just being slow about this, starting to feel that in your standing leg, warming that up, because those stability muscles are so important, both for standing and for basing and for flying. Whew, very good. Okay, let's shake it out. Let's bounce. So bouncing is really good for the lymphatic system, for the ligaments, turns everything off, just gets you warmed up, gets your body ready to start moving, even if you were already moving. Let's do it on the other side. Stay symmetrical. If one side is easier than the other, or one side's harder, that's totally normal. Not letting your hips open up the whole way. You're trying to keep as if there's headlights facing forward the whole time. Let's go up and around the other way. I hope everybody's staying safe during this time and moving. I've already checked off making sourdough off of the list of things to do. Foot out to back and around and forward. Again, it's flexion, abduction, getting that internal rotation around, really feeling that in all of the glute muscles. So you've got your ball and socket joint of your hip, so that just warms everything up in there. So this is active mobility. We're getting into some stretching, your flexion, abduction, and extension. Warming up the hips. We're going to get into the hip flexors next. So start getting excited about that. I also want to do some wrist and some shoulder. So this is just like a bunch of things that I've been doing to stay moving and stay ready for our next acro get together. So let's do a squat. So when you do a squat, you don't want your knees to come forward, sending your hips back like you're basing somebody. So let's do a squat and then stepping that foot back, going into a nice warrior one. Staying in low in our squat, stepping back, warrior one. Coming back forward, we're going to change this up a little bit. Ooh, lost my balance. Warrior one, let's do last one on this side, and then we're going to add a little something extra. So as you step back, taking that nice deep stretch and bringing that leg down. I'm going to move this so you can see it from the side. So back, leg down, getting that anterior pelvic tilt to really get a nice hip flexor stretch in the psoas. Toes can be down, lifting up, keeping that anterior pelvic tilt, leaning back only if that feels good, holding that for a few seconds, and then sliding your hand, opening, reaching over, getting that all along the side body, and coming back, toes tucked, lifting up again. Psoas, quadratus lumborum. As we stretch it out, the hip flexors, oh, it feels really good. Just opening all on that hip. Coming back, staying low, keeping that anterior pelvic tilt. Getting a nice stretch through there. Coming back into your squat, let's switch. So we'll do two on this side. Posterior pelvic tilt. Silly. Posterior pelvic tilt. Up. Leaning back into a quad. Hip flexor stretch. Keeping that core activated. So this is a lot easier. Looks like you're getting farther. That is harder. Just gotta tuck my shirt in a bit. Then sliding that hand and opening up. I'm gonna face you. So opening up, reaching over, getting a nice stretch into the side body. Coming back, tucking toes, lifting up, that posterior pelvic tilt. So come up, your squat, reaching back again, trying to keep that leg stable, leaning that knee back down, up, posterior pelvic tilt, reaching back, opening up. So we're not staying too long, and these are all active stretches just because we're warming up. So let's go into our child's pose. I'm going to bring the camera down. So in your child's pose, holding this up, we're going to do a bit of an active reach here. So having arms reach forward, palms facing towards each other, thumbs facing up, head resting on the floor, and you're going to actively pull one of your arms up by not rotating through your upper spine. So I'll show you. Holding there from the side, lifting 10 times. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lovely. Take that off. Doing it on the other side. So same thing. Child's pose. Thumbs towards each other. Lift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And those are really fighting the urge to have your upper back move. Shake that one out. Let's do some active trunk rotation. So from the thoracic spine. So having elbows down on the mat, then having your hand on your head, and you're gonna actively turn up towards the ceiling and then back down. So this is really good as a flyer if you're doing any of your twisting positions. Having that active rotation also increases your mobility there. Keeping your hips level, the rotation is just happening from the upper spine. Doesn't matter how high you turn your head, as long as you're getting to that end range of motion. Let's do one more. I was not counting. I'm sorry if these are not going to be equal. So same thing on the other side, having your hand on your head and then actively turning. If one side is different than the other, totally normal. That just shows maybe you're more dominant on one side, but it's still important to do it on both. Just as in acro, do it on both sides. As you twist, actively trying to get to that end range of motion. And this is against gravity. Let's do one more. Lovely. And shake that out. How's that feel in upper back? Let's just do a couple of cat-cows going around to the side as well. So doing that lateral flexion, dropping chest and belly button, coming to the side, going up the other way, and opposite direction. Just getting some nice flexibility into the end range of motion. There, nice. Let's warm up wrists. So everybody's favorite, you've got your hand push-ups, so lifting thumbs off the ground, trying to challenge yourself by having your shoulders forward as far as possible, so it's not through the body, but through the forearms, lifting and lowering down nice and slow. Pushing through your knuckles. This is really good for any hand-to-hand work. Even to have that strength in your wrists if you're not quite doing hand-to-hand yet. But just in a lot of the acro positions, you're pushing a lot into your wrists. So this strengthens up your flexors. Let's do 2 more. Nice and slow. To challenge yourself more, you can have your knees back. Don't let your shoulders come forward. Keep fighting your shoulders to stay forward. It's gonna really increase the weight into your forearms. Nice, and shake it out. Should burn right in there. Shake it. I'm a big fan of shaking it out, so you'll see that a lot with me. And rocking your wrists around. Nice, maybe even rolling them both ways. You can see how much active wrist flexion you have by keeping your forearms together and opening up your fingers, seeing if you're at 180 degrees there. I am not, so it is something that I am working on getting, which will be really useful with my handstands and in my handstand practice. Let's rock the other way, so fingertips towards yourself. Don't let your shoulders come forward, but keeping them back and rocking back. So only going as far as your wrists allow, keeping shoulders back, not letting your booty shake out. You're trying to keep that in. Getting a nice stretch into the extensors there. Lovely. Let's do a shoulder mobility workout. So I'll start on the side. Your feet out, you're in high plank position. Trying to pull, tuck tail under, doing a posterior pelvic tilt there. Opening up into a down dog. I'm gonna walk my feet slightly forward. Touching the foot, coming back in, opening up, coming back in, turning to side plank, opening that arm up, bring that down, touching the low back, back up. Let's do that one more time, switching forward. Oh, one more here, just tapping on the other side of your hand and then back up. So I'm going to go from this position. So you're opening up into your down dog. Oops, sorry, with that one hand. Opening to tap the opposite foot. Closing, getting that active shoulder flexion, plus that twist. Turning, bring that in, opening up, turning your hips, turning your feet. Tapping your low back, getting that internal rotation of the shoulder, opening back up, turning back around, and tapping there. And then the other side, fingertips pointing forward, that just gets you in, your wrists into a good alignment. Opening into one-handed down dog, tapping that foot, coming back, opening, turning, getting a nice stretch there. Coming back to plank, turning to the side, hand up to the ceiling, tapping low back to ceiling, back to high plank, tapping, one more time, opening up, closing. Open, tap, and twist. That opposite foot. Back into high plank. Turned, hand to ceiling. Tap low back. Back to ceiling. High plank. Tap. Nice. Let's go into child's pose. Shake that out. These are all active mobility things. We're gonna do one more into the low back. This is really good for handstanding. I'm taking an online handstanding course and we do some of these. So into your child's pose, but with tented fingers. So your butt right on top of your knees, opening up into your anterior pelvic tilt. So letting your belly button be tight or be low to the ground here. Feeling that big stretch into your shoulder flexors. Again, really good for any handstand work. Just having that active flexion. We're holding this for a couple of seconds here. Fingers are still tented. Then we're going to posterior pelvic tilt and get even more of your shoulder flexion. So really actively pull your belly button up. Try to tuck your tail under, still having your fingers tented. Holding for another 10, 9, 8, really feeling this in the shoulders. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 10 more seconds with that anterior pelvic tilt. Feel if you any further, my hair's all in the way there. If you're any further in your shoulder flexion, I feel way further. Still with your fingers tented. Now my forehead can go down to the ground. Whew, lovely. Let's go into a Mackenzie position or Sphinx. So your elbows are on the ground. This is just a really nice position to get some extension into your spine. And a bit of a recovery before we do our standing exercises. So from your Mackenzie pose, you can take a pause, grab some water, and then we're gonna get started. All right, so we're gonna do these all together. Got 8 exercises, combination of leg and upper body with everything in between. So the first one is lunge, squat, lunge. So into a bit of an external rotation here. I'm gonna step back. Going from squat with knees slightly apart into a lunge, back to squat, back to lunge. If that feels good, then you can go with a hop. Get those fast twitch muscles moving. Making sure that your knee is in line, that you're not internally rotating and rocking it forward. As you're in your squat, keep going. Your knee is over your second toe. So going at whichever one feels good to you for the jump or the stepping. Still going to be hard. Lovely, and check that one out. Woo! Feeling that in quads, feeling that in glutes. Now we'll do a push-up lunge, side reach. So from your push-up, lunge, open up, and back, push-up, lunge, open, back. So in your push-up, your index fingers are pointing forward. You can go from the knees too if that feels better as a modification. This is getting into our active hip flexion in a stretch and opening up, getting that nice rotation. Open, back. Lovely. Let's do one more each side. Holding that nice plank position in your push-up, back up. Nice. Well done. Okay, back to legs. Not that that wasn't legs. Doing a nice big step. You can tap behind you. We're doing some skaters. So this is really good for your hip stabilizers on one leg. So modification would be tapping the foot down. If you don't want to do that, make it a little bit harder by having your foot not tap as you reach, getting those glute med in there, trying to hold that position. We're doing a few of these, if you can't tell. Really feeling that in your glutes, in your stabilizers. Really useful. Going for distance if you want to. Make it a little harder. As far as you can. Let's do one more each side. One. Nice. Shake it out. Sway. Back to upper back. I'm going to bring you down. Here for our next one. We're going to do a bear crawl. So really good for the stabilizers of the shoulders and the core. So you've got a couple of options you can do here in your 4-point position, lifting your knees up. Easier is doing opposite arm and leg. Imagining you have a tea party going on your back, and you don't want anything to rock off. So it's not letting your hips go side to side, but staying really flat and stable as you move. Knees are off the ground. Couple of times side to side. Harder is doing same arm, same leg, really trying to keep the spine from wiggling too much. It's going to wiggle a little bit more here. It's okay. Just try to have a little wiggle as you can. Let's go back. Whew. Sometimes hard to coordinate. Watch that tea party. Nice. Shake it out. Bring it back up here. Next, some more stabilizer, single leg. So important with acro, because you've got a person on your leg, or you're the person on that leg. So we're gonna do a curtsy squat, and then lifting into that active hip flexion. So the curtsy, your foot is going behind, not letting your knee wiggle too much, but having it in line with your toes, and hip flexion. Kick, back, kick, back. Toes can be pointed or not. Depends if you want that aesthetic look. Let's do 2 more. 1, 2. Feeling that all in your glutes. Shake it out. Maybe bounce a little bit. Whew. Grab some water if you want. Let's do it on the other side. So knee is staying in line. Reaching back, knee and toes are over top of each other. Kicking up. And kick. Getting that active hip flexion. Let's point our toes. We'll make Devin and Slava happy. Nice. Feeling this. Glutes, quad. Oh, I feel it everywhere. Let's do 2 more. 1, 2. Lovely. All right, we're going back to upper body. We've got our shoulder flexion. So important for handstanding is to have that line. Also just to have active shoulder flexion. So keeping that posterior pelvic tilt, ribs locked in, hands overhead, fingers pointing back, trying to bring your shoulders protracted up. You're thinking of that rocking your inner bicep towards your ears, and then so that external rotation of the upper arm and internal rotation towards the hands, and the protraction to get serratus on, to get all the shoulder flexors, and then reaching back. We're going to pulse this, making sure that your tail is tucked, that your ribs are in. You're going back to full range of motion. You're keeping your shoulders up towards your ears. And 3, 2, 1. Shake that one out. We're going to do that one more time. You're doing good. Well done. Nice moving with people again, even virtually. So same thing, that external rotation of the upper arms as you elevate the shoulders and internal of your forearms, pelvic tilt, ribs in, and pushing back. Let's go to 20. 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20. Good job. Good job, good job. So let's do some high bear crawling. You'll probably, no, I'll bring you down again. So really good to having weight into the shoulders, keeping hips up, and just walking your toes towards your wrists, and then walking back. Back you might find is easier because you can have more weight into your feet. Trying to bring your foot as close and as high as you can before you lift that foot. Doing all of those same cues. Index finger pointing forward. Your elbow creases towards forward. Opposite arm and leg. Trying to keep that heel of the hand down as best as you can. Nice. Let's do one more walk. So pushing down as you go. Being a good bear. Whew. Nice job. We got one more standing exercise. Yes. The pistol T-bend. So pistol squat. You can hold something if you want, but you're bringing your foot forward, and then your T-bend. In your T-bend, your leg and your upper body are rocking at the same amount. You're not doing that. So as your back leg goes, your torso comes forward, getting this into hamstrings, quads and glutes, hamstrings, quads and glutes. So really feeling this into the whole leg. You're also stabilizing because you're on one leg. Whew. I lost my balance, shake it off. Let's go to the other side. So you're in your pistol squat, not letting your knee come in, really trying to track over the second toe. Leaning forward into your T-bend, pistol, T-bend. So there's a couple of exercises here that are strength building, mobility, flexibility, trying to get the whole leg, trying to spend quite a bit of time on one leg to get those stabilizing muscles. Let's check that one out. Good job. Yay. So now we've got some floor exercises for you. We're going to start with good old-fashioned hollow body rolls. So laying with your feet and your arms up and trying to slowly and with control move without bringing your upper body or lower body on the ground, turning in one unit. That was a little bit faster. Keep going all the way, and then roll to the other side. This is getting into, again, your stabilizers of your core. Control, control, control. As we roll. Roll and control. Does that rhyme? I'm not sure. Shake it out. Let's do that again. We'll do 2 on each side. So arms and legs out. Maybe I'll go from the side. So arms and legs as you turn, opening up, slow, slow, not trying to flop. Ooh, I'm gonna hit my bike. So you turn, slow, and control. Nice. Going the other way. Oh, I went too fast. Lovely. Good job. Okay, we're gonna do some toe tappers. So low back towards the ground, bringing your hip points towards each other, or making an X from your hip to your opposite rib, hip to opposite rib. So making like an X over your belly, and then pubis bone to xiphoid process, or you're like a snowflake. Or imagining that somebody's about to drop something light on your belly, and you're just bracing a little bit for that. So belly is towards spine, palms open, locking the angle of your knee, bringing one up, the other one, and the other. Feeling the core engaged, feeling that hollow body position. If that feels good, you can bring both of your knees up, lowering one down. This is next level. Feeling this in core, breathing. Super important to stay breathing as you do this. So imagining that something is resting on your opposite shin as you drop it down, so it's not dropped down here, but strong and controlled. It's also not this. That is way easier. This, you will feel more. If that feels good, you can have both legs straight, lowering one down and then the other. Again, these are all just options to you. Feeling this in core, still having that control in your core, making that snowflake over your belly button. Let's do 2 more each side, at whichever level feels good to you. Still keeping low back on the ground. Nice, let's just rock the low back onto the ground. Lovely. So next, boat pose, which we do some in acro. So holding that boat pose position, not letting the upper back flop one way or the other, just keeping it pretty neutral. Modification, you can hold on to your legs here, or you can have them off, or you can have them straight, whichever feels good to you. Ooh, I'm very shaky with that one. So we're gonna drop down, boat pose, drop down, tap your toes, down, boat, down, tap the toes, down, boat, down, toes. Doing a couple of these, woo, balance. Let's do 2 more. Hope you feel that, because I sure do. Good stuff. let's change it up. We'll do something for the hamstrings. Still core involved. So doing head press into the floor like you're at the beach and you're making an indentation of the sand with your head, shoulders opening, palms open. This internally rotates the shoulder. This externally rotates, opens up everything. Pushing into your heels, lifting glute. Imagining you have a toonie in your cheeks that you're holding on to and you don't want to drop. Addition here, you can stay here if that feels good. You can lower down, come back up, keeping those head press, shoulder press modification or cues. Or if you want a little something extra, keeping your hips level, not letting them flop side to side. Walking your feet out until your toes start to lift off the ground, and then walking them back in, driving your hips up, not belly up, but driving hips up, squeezing the glutes. And again, feeling this in hamstrings, in glutes, still working core. Oh, the joy. Walking this out, walking this back in. If you do any belly basing, ooh, this is very useful. Walking them back up, back in. You can always go down, come back up. Let's do a few more, as many as feels good to you. Taking a break when you need, getting water when you need, squeezing the glutes the whole time. Walking out, walking back in, and down. Well done. Okay, let's do some side plank. So feet, the top leg is in front. That just makes it easier if you're to do any rolls. You can also have feet together if you want to. Modification is to start with knees on the ground or top foot down or both up with hip up and arm up in the air and just doing little movements like there's a puppeteer pulling up on your hip. Just do a little pull, pulses up, feeling this in your obliques. Doing a few things with the obliques. If you want to add a level, you can lift your leg too, whichever feels good to you, and come back down. So let's do some clamshells again for the glute med muscle. Knees are stacked on top of each other. I like imagining some Cheerios are stacked on my hip. So as I rock, or as I lift my leg, I'm not rocking. Keeping your feet together, ankles, hips, and shoulders in the same line. Relaxed neck. I like having my elbow bent under it. Opening only a fist or two apart and bringing it back down. And opening and closing. If you do enough of these, you'll really feel it in your glute med, or maybe you're already feeling it, which feels great. This is a little bit of an active break for your core as we use your glutes. Lifting and closing, not letting that rock happen, but keeping your hip forward. Another cue is you can have that hand in front to not let it rock back. So try to force that knee on top. My cue is that I like having my knees come back on top of each other so that they're not unstacked like this, but they come back right stacked on top of each other. Every time, and break, nice job. Back extension holds. So, bird holds. We are going to do that back extension hold. So, cue is having your hands underneath your hips and do a pelvis press into the mat or into your base's feet, if you want to imagine that. So actively pushing, that helps protect your low back. Having palms pointed down towards the ground. Level 1 is out to the side. Level 2, arms out. Level 3, goalpost arms, level floor arms straight. So pelvis press first, finding what level feels good to you. Chin tuck, so that you're looking straight at the ground, you're not looking up. Looking straight down, holding that. Feet can stay on the ground. That just increases your compression in your spine by lifting them up. Staying down, or out to the side, holding. We want endurance in our back. If you're doing any back holds, any bird holds, you're holding this for quite some time. So let's hold it, imagining you're on somebody's feet, or that you're holding somebody else up, but you are bird right now. Feel the bird. You can go into goalpost if you'd like. You can reach arms up, whichever level gives you a challenge today. And you can also go between goalpost and straight up. If you need a break, take a break, put your head down, relax your head, relax your neck, and then go back up into it. It's not about how high you get per se, we're just holding this for time. Keep that pelvis press on, finding the level that challenges you, and relax. Good work. Let's do, oh yes, we're gonna get into high plank and then some foot taps to the side. I'm gonna go from both sides. So this is getting into your oblique line. The key with this one is to not let your shoulders move. You're really trying to keep your upper body still. So you're in your high plank position with shoulders over wrists, bringing your knee up, out to the side. Try not to touch the floor, and back in. Up to the side, not letting any twist, and back. In, side, in, back, in, side, in, back. Let's do a few of these, making sure that you're breathing. The modification for this, you can slide your foot. That will take some weight off. If you want to challenge yourself, try not having that foot up, or not sliding the foot, having the foot up. Let's do just a few more. So I'm trying to get some exercises that work all angles of the core. And relax. Maybe go into your child's pose. Take some breathers. Shake it off. Maybe shake your wrists. Good stuff. What do I have next? Oh yes, bow pose. So we all love bow pose. Reaching back, you can grab a towel or something around your ankles if need be, and trying to lift up, pushing pelvis into the ground, not letting your shoulders pull forward, but pulling them back, lifting, holding 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't let go. Great part. Okay, so letting go but not letting your feet slam back. Holding this for 10 seconds. Really feeling this in your upper back, in your shoulders, in your lower back. Everything. 2, 1. Relax. Oh, what fun. Feeling that in your back. So getting those stabilizers, the back endurance muscles, all the erectors really going. Let's do it one more time. So reaching back. This is a great stretch for the hip flexors. Lifting up as high as feels comfortable. I wish I could touch my head with my feet, but I cannot. Something to work towards. And then letting go, keeping your feet there, holding 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, you got it, 2, 1, relax. Good job. So good. Let's go on the other side and do our side planks. So picking the level that feels good, having that front foot on top or forward or on top if that feels good, having your knees together, having front leg, whichever feels good to you. Shoulders over top of your elbow, reaching that up, having that marionette pulling your hip up. Just small pulses, feeling this in the obliques. 10, 9, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Nice, let's do some clamshells. We're just gonna do one more ab exercise after this. So giving your abs a bit of a break, stacking those Cheerios, not letting it rock, finding what feels good to you. Ankle, hip, and shoulder all in the same line. Knees stacked on top of each other. Relaxed neck. Just opening and closing that hip. Feeling that in glute med. A really important muscle for standing on one leg, for stabilizing, for walking, because you're in single stance while you walk. So lifting. Unfortunately, I did not count on the other side. You're going to feel more tired on this side than previously because, well, we just worked a bunch, but also the glute on your down leg is working as well as your upper leg, so both of them have already worked. Let's do 3 more. 3, 2, 1. Relax. All right, one more ab workout, and then we'll do our cool down, which will be really nice and enjoyable. So, work it. Index fingers pointing forward or ever so slightly out, wrapping elbow creases forward for the most part. Your hands underneath your shoulders, tucking that tail, not letting your shoulders and your back be floppy, but holding that tight. This is the fun part. So bringing your leg in, not letting the whole spine flex, but keeping that position, bringing it to same elbow, opposite wrist, same wrist, elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist. I'll go from the front, elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist, elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist. Let's do a few more. Okay, now opposite, so down, across, up, across, down, across, up, across. Oh, isn't it fun? The joy. One more. Across, good. Take a rest, shake it out. Maybe you do some cat-cows. We'll go on to the other side. So take a second to set up. It's always good to set up correctly. You don't have to rush into it. Index fingers forward, wrists over shoulders, tucking tail, pushing the floor away, lifting knee, same, opposite, wrist, across, up, across, down, across, up, across, down, across, across, down, across. Here we go the other way, down, across, up, across. If you're going your own speed, totally fine, or your own design. Really feeling this in the core. This is the last one, guys. You got it. One more round. Yes, so strong. Nice. Okay, shake it out. Whew. We're gonna do a nice cool down. So we'll start on the mat and we'll end on the mat, but we'll do some standing in between. So bring one foot forward, doing that posterior pelvic tilt, reaching arm up. I'm going to change where this is. There you go. So that posterior pelvic tilt, reaching the arm up, leaning back, breathing. Maybe even breathing through pierced lips. So nice deep breaths in and out. Opening up, leaning over. Getting a nice stretch into the hip flexor. Straightening that front foot. Toe can be relaxed. Bringing your toe up is more of a nerve stretch. Leaving it relaxed. You're still getting your hamstring stretch. Making sure that your back stays straight here as you lean forward. Not about rounding. You can use a wall for balance, or yoga block, or stool, or whatever you have available. And just stopping when you feel that nice stretch. As you breathe out, maybe you're able to lean even more into it, getting that nice hamstring stretch. Relaxed toes. Breathing. Nice. Bringing that back up. So going into a side lunge posture, position, getting a nice stretch into the adductors here. Trying to sit up. If you can't, that's okay. Leaning down into it. Now this is the fun part. Keep your feet where they are. I'll show you in two positions or two directions, but just turning your feet and facing the other way. So you're here, you're turning your feet, you're facing the other way, and you're bringing that leg up and into you so that you get a nice glute stretch. So holding that and coming up and just switching sides. So going up and over to the other side, and let's do our quad stretch first. So that posterior pelvic tilt, arm lifted up, getting that nice stretch through the whole side body, the whole anterior fascial line, and leaning back, keeping that posterior pelvic tilt, going up and over, breathing here. Getting into your hamstring again, so straightening that front foot, soft bend in the knee, not having it totally locked, tall, leaning forward, keeping a straight back, relaxed foot. You can use the wall for balance or a stool, leaning forward, breathing. Well done. Nice. Now getting into that side stretch on that side. I'm going to go over this way. You can see me. The foot can be on the ground. Getting a nice stretch into there, into the side. And then our super switcheroo. Getting that into the glutes. Very nice. All right, coming out. Let's do a bit of a pancake. Being acro, having the straddle position is important. So just getting a little bit of a pancake stretch. So let's hold externally rotating, so turning your feet out for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Internally rotating. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then see if you can slide forward a little bit more. And again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Internally, 5. From the hips, not from the feet. So it's the hips that are rocking in, and then slide forward. You can also do this up against a wall so that your feet stay apart. You can have your hands behind you, finding whatever way feels good to you, getting a nice stretch into your inner thigh, hip flexors we'll be working. Let's do 2 more. So external rotation of the hips, opening them up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Internally rotating. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And sliding forward. Last one. Open, external rotation. 2, 3, 4, 5. Internal. 4, 3, 2, 1. And slide. Nice. Let's just get a bit of internal and external rotation of the hip here. So you're in a 90-90 position. Your front foot is at 90 degrees. Your back foot is at 90 degrees at the knee. Here we go. There. Getting tall, thinking of driving that femur, your thigh bone, into your pelvis as you lean forward. Not about rounding, but about leaning forward. Getting that glute stretch. Maybe you find that your body allows you to go even more forward. It's not about how far forward you can go, but just feeling that nice glute stretch. Breathing. And then getting into the internal rotation, so leaning back, feeling that in the front leg here. As you lean backwards, holding, relaxing, maybe noticing if there's any areas that you need to do some more stretches on. Feel free to do that. Feet stay planted, hands can be down or they don't have to be as you go up. Bringing your knees apart, getting a nice stretch there, and then bringing them over to the other side. Again, making sure that they're at 90 and 90. Tall, leaning forward. Keeping the back flat, driving your femur into your pelvis as you lean forward. Only as much as you feel a glute stretch. We're holding these for like 30 seconds-ish. And then leaning back into that internal rotation. Feeling that in that area. Leaning back, relaxing, breathing. And coming back forward. Nice. Maybe just letting your feet do a few side to side, seeing how that feels. Then let's stand up for our back extension stretches. So getting tall, breathing in, reaching back, going forward, so tucking your chin, leaning one vertebrae at a time, rolling down, getting that flexion, activating into the core, get active flexion, not locking your knees, having a slight bend in the knees, and just bringing yourself all the way down, letting yourself hang. Maybe you clasp onto your elbows, and you can rock. Getting that nice hanging, that tension that we get as flyers. And then when you're ready, one vertebrae at a time, lifting back up, feeling that flexion in the spine. As you lift, chin being the last thing to lift up. And up all the way. Nice. Let's go to the side. So having arms up, or you can have one arm down, sliding down your leg. If you want a little something extra, have that arm up and coming back up. Other side, you can slide it down. If you decide you want to add Feeling that into the obliques. And then coming back up. Rocking the shoulders down. Got one more really nice stretch to finish up on. I'm gonna bring you down for it. This is a book opening stretch. Getting a nice rotation into the spine. So having your top leg forward, having your hands together. So this is the active rotation, opening up, reaching towards the other side. Now turning off the muscles, so getting that passive stretch with gravity. And then closing again, active, so your body will relax when it feels like it's safe. So you're actively moving into the stretch. And then you're able to turn it off and just let gravity give you more range. Trying to keep your knee on the ground, maybe you hold it down. And then turning, so this one will be slightly different. Sliding your hand as close to the floor as you can. Oh, ponytail. As close to the floor as you go all the way around. Doesn't matter if it doesn't touch the floor, but you're just actively reaching towards the floor. And coming back the same way. Let's do that one more time. So you're sliding your fingers, getting your ponytail out of the way, if you have one. And opening up. Ah, nice. Let's go the other side. So maybe you do a couple of windshield wipers in between, letting your knees slide or fall side to side. Feet about mat distance apart. And then bringing your feet over to the other side. I'll face you this way this time. This is my less good side, my fun side, as they say. So reaching up and over, trying to relax here, trying to turn off, taking some nice breaths, trying to elongate the muscles that you feel are tight, keeping that knee to the ground. Doesn't matter how close to the floor you get. And then bringing your hands together again, getting that active movement, and then that passive again. So opening up, reaching your arm towards your other side. Breathing. Keeping knee on the ground. And closing. So this time sliding your hand up and over. Doesn't matter if it doesn't touch the ground. And then closing again. Last one. Just in that time, I've gotten more range. Hope it feels good to you. If it doesn't, find a movement that does feel good. I am just giving you a suggestion. And then coming into a comfortable position, whatever that is to you. Thank you very much for watching. I'll put you up here. There. Yes, thank you for watching, for moving with me. And my name again is Stephanie. I'm a kinesiologist and acro yoga enthusiast. Just got my acro yoga teacher training and hope to start some classes when social distancing is no longer necessary. So I live in British Columbia, Kamloops. Hope to play with you soon. Thank you so much.